Hello everyone. So, as you can see, I am the one streaming right now because there was a bit of awkwardness and might continue to be a bit of awkwardness. So, unfortunately, there was some miscommunication based around the idea of daylight savings times, which Korea doesn't even have. And, you know, the world would do better by not having it, but basically, it was written as CET instead of CEST, which, you know, converted to PDT is, you know, different between the two. It's an hour difference, so. The time at which we were prepared to go live is not actually yet here. So that is why Rifkin is not here right now, as he was told a different time. I'm here because, well, I have no life and I was already waiting. No, I was just here waiting and I was talking to the guy. So, it was all type of awkwardness. So the reason that it might be even more awkward as time goes on is not because, you know, Rifkin's going to join about halfway through a game, is because if it says CET and people convert it to X, Y, or Z and it's an hour later, then the players might also have done that. So we actually have Drogo here, which is, you know, great, and it'd be much better if the players weren't mistaken in the time zones. That would just make the chaos go smoothly at the very least. But my suspicion right now is that much like if you told someone living in California that it's 10 a.m. PDT and they said, wait, no, it's PST, isn't it? And they'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. And nothing would ever really change. I'd say the same thing would happen to people that live in Europe. So the Europeans might have been like, you know, oh, made a mistake, said CET instead of CST, no big deal. But, you know, the Koreans, and this is a, you know, Korean versus European type of setup for these matches, well, that might be different, you know? You don't just automatically assume, you Google it and you go. So. And it extra sucked just because, despite, you know, I mean, there's that part, and then I also had to confirm with the organizer, and they confirmed 11 a.m. PDT, which is actually not correct, which they apologize for, and things happen, but unfortunately it leads to a bunch of awkwardness. So that's why I'm here talking to you guys. And that about sums it up. So I hope you enjoyed my summary of things today. And how are you doing? Are you okay? Is life treating you well? I hope so. So unfortunately, you know, that's going to put us in a bit of an awkward spot as, I mean, once we wait an hour and, you know, Leenock shows up, then the rest of the times will be fine, which is the good news, but until that time, there's, like, not much we can do. It's also, like, pretty bad times for Korea. It's currently 2 in the morning, and obviously whoever plays 4th is going to be up at, like, 4 or 5 in the morning, so they ain't getting up any earlier than they need to be. So I doubt they're going to be like, oh, good thing I came 45 minutes early. I was already practicing. Like, probably not. Well, what has happened while I was talking there? Anything exciting? Frankenfurter, resub for 17 months. Next, please. I don't know what next you refer to. Leenock's here, yay! He probably literally rolled out of bed. He's ready to go. Do 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 do. Still gonna be waiting though, because someone's having issues. That ship is really loud in the background. I should have changed to multiplayer sooner rather than later. There we go. Show should be starting soon, and then Rifkin will be coming in the next 40 minutes to an hour. Every match today is best of 3. So it's going to be Leenock versus Drogo, Jakshi versus Zanster, Zest versus Alive, and a Laser versus Gumiho. So there's one Korean versus Korean that's happening here. No Americans. No Americans. Yeah, organizing can be a little tricky. The French stream was having trouble with their stream. I just lost a bunch of frames. Hope that's not actually connected. Kind of new room. Rifkin's awake, so he'll be here soon. I am still dropping frames, which is disturbing. Because it definitely wouldn't be my upload that's the problem. I'm literally just checking it right now, and it's still, like, almost 100, which is, like, pretty good. I don't know if Twitch is gonna have problems and surprise us all, or what, but... Things happen. What are you gonna do? Talk to CG for an hour on a 3-minute delay. Don't ever forget about that. Let's see here. Some people are great. That's good to hear. Well, no, I don't think I'm not worried like about players no sharing. I'm just worried about, you know, people being late, which could have been worse. I'm in Korea. How's the On Fire house? Well, I was there Friday and it seemed okay. But we don't call it the On Fire house, it's called the BaseTradeTV house. What are we doing in Korea? I mean, cool stuff. Hanging out with people that I know here. I just went to the ASL finals and went to the after party and hung out with people, so... I came back like 2 hours ago. Because the last train is at midnight. And I didn't want to take a taxi. Which, to be honest, I still ended up doing because I missed the train stop. I was distracted. But at least this time it's easier. See, the place that I used to live at was called Sinchon. And that's on like the west side of Seoul. And then on the east side of Seoul is a place called Sincheon. And unless you're very specific about it, they might take you to like either sides of this really huge city. And there's definitely been times where I would have needed to go to the right place as soon as possible. Because the only reason I'm taking a taxi was because I, you know, had a cast at 4 in the morning. Otherwise, the metros would go. Or sleeping over at some place. Yes, the French stream is still having trouble starting their stream. But they're going to go without them. So, going to get into game number 1. I didn't see anyone actually mention the dropped frame, so maybe they were just barely good enough. I'm going to hope. Let's do this. So, Abyssal Reef. Hopefully on the, I'm going to guess the Central server. And there you go. Just going to put this up here a little bit. Nope, that doesn't balance exactly. Oh my god, I found out where all the cat fur went to from all my clothes. And onto this styrofoam. Jesus. Oh, hey, we're in it. Oh, this is misplaced. Oof, that's not... that's not right. How did that happen? Oh. Ooh, nope, that's not right. Good enough. Alright, best of 3. 4 best of 3s today, mostly European versus Korean, but not all. It looks like Leenock wants to go back to bed. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, he is the Drogo. And in the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it is Leenock. Having not bothered to change his clan tag on America in quite some time, apparently. Yeah, FXO Leenock with Yoe Flash Wolves. That's a whole lot of history right there. But not anymore. So an early pool, you know, if he's lucky and he really wants to go back to bed, then there's a pylon right here and he just snipes it and gets on with his day. As it is though, Drogo, while he is going for a gateway expand, as you would usually do, his buildings are in his main base, so they're a little easier to protect from those ling surrounds. Like, literally, this cannot be surrounded. It's protected on both sides, plus a probe pool could make sure that only a couple lings were attacking it, and that should not be the way the game ends. Now, of course, still, you could get enough probes that, you know, it still does end the game, but I would say that's unlikely with this setup. It would have been even more unlikely had Drogo scouted at all, but all he's doing is just waiting for more wall to come down, actually, with this probe. Now, Lings will be able to even get a cancel on the Nexus as well, which would be damage. I mean, there's really a point, like, right here, right now, Leenock has to decide either go for the Nexus, which is like a guaranteed kill, or try and go into the main and get a couple of probe kills. But the probe kills are a lot riskier because if they have good micro and they control it well and they build, you know, buy time for a Zealot, then you might not get as much as you need. Whereas the Nexus is, like, guaranteed. And going for the Nexus seems to be a good choice. I mean, a couple of Lings are still straggling along here. 2 more on the way. And that's a total of, what, 8 or 10? No, 12. Okay, I can't count. 12. That's actually quite a number. So, he might be able to get a Nexus kill and then some. I mean, certainly the pylon goes down, right? That's an obvious, you know, sacrifice here. But I was going to say, like, if they get 1 overcharge popped, then all I have to deal with is the minimal damage of the Mothership Core and the Adept damage, which, I mean, the Adept obviously, like, you know, what, 2-shot slings, but might take a while to chase him off. Leenock's just going to take the Nexus, take the pylon, and leave, and let his Overlord do the scouting, I suppose. It'll see 2 gateways, a response that's, you know, could have produced a lot of units to try and counterattack with. But that little bit of supply block, plus he wanted to get a Stargate down, means that the second gateway really didn't start for a very long time. It's going to be willing a Stalker, though, to try and maybe deter any more Overlord scouting. This Overlord could very easily see the Stargate, but just would, like, move on up a little bit. Just move it on up. Move. Okay, we'll get back to that later. Adept is going to shade into that main base, see what's going on here. There's not too many, like, Baneling all-in follow-ups or something like that right off of an early pool, but I guess they would exist. But I think more so just seeing if he was going to get a lot of gas, or any gas, really, behind this. You know, is there speed on the way? Are these going to be speedlings immediately attacking again into my Nexus, or is it slow? And I think he saw the 2 gases being taken, which they would have been taken later, to be 2 of them, and that's not going to be quite a worry. You know, I can actually see it. Okay, well, that kind of sucks. He saw slow Lings for long enough that maybe just that's what he's going to guess, but that's still, like, a little concerning, because if these are speedlings, like, they'll take down a lot of units very, very quickly. You know, they get the surrounds quicker than you can react, and you're actually in a world of trouble after that. But slowlings, you know, he bulks up his units. This Adept's barely going to survive here, and 2 Adepts, a Stalker, Mothership Core, overcharges obviously too. That's definitely enough. And then, of course, there was the Oracle, which I don't know if Leenock ever scouted. No, his overlord died. Okay, well, that's interesting. Evolution Chamber on the way, probably for that +1 for the Lings. Speed on the way too. So, I mean, he, you know, obviously held off on gas for a long time, but makes up for it, but it's getting more a little bit later. Some people saying that there are some drop frames. Kind of sucks. Hopefully nothing too serious. I mean, the upload is good, and the you know, the computer is good. It's the same computer I use at home. Brought it on over here. So, neither of those should be the problem. I guess there's always, like, technical mumbo-jumbo I don't understand, but I don't know. Oracle barely survives. Gets a couple of kills, nothing too great. Leenock about on his 3rd base. Bailey Nest and that +1 as predicted on the way. That's just, like, I would say a lot of Zergs are opening. I don't want to say most anymore, because I feel like they're starting to differ region by region, but certainly with a lot of Koreans, I see the +1 melee. Drogo going for the Resident Enclaves. Tries to get as many kills as possible. In fact, gets the Queen, but loses the Oracle for it. Was that really worth it? I don't know. Adepts go to the 3rd base that has nothing on it. So, I mean, they get out, right? Which is good enough. That Balena should make it safe against any type of Resident Enclaves push. I mean, by saving these Adepts and not committing any more with them, like, an Adept push would be quite a lot of Adepts. I mean, that would actually be quite scary, but with the threat of Banelings, it's always going to be risky for the Protoss as well, because if they commit all of their Adepts, whether it's 10, you know, or 15, they don't have anything to actually defend the 3rd, except these 2 photon overcharges, which, you know, mind you, is actually pretty good. But if they really were going to try and counterattack and deal damage to your 3rd base, they would probably be able to do it if you, like, literally had nothing. I mean, there wouldn't be Adepts, there wouldn't be sentries, but no. Now warping in sentries, keeping the Adepts at home. These Lings aren't going to be able to do too much, but he is making a lot of Banelings. It's interesting. It's timing up well with the +1 melee. Whoopsie daisy. But I said it was interesting because he's also getting a lair. So, you know, a couple more drones also getting sprinkled in here. There you go. 10 more drones on the way. So this looks very, very aggressive. And it certainly is. I mean, it's a Goss, that's my nickname for gas and cost. Cost investment, but it's not anything he wouldn't be making if he was worried about a defensive setup, you know? Like, it's kind of weird to see him offensively like that, and they certainly probably gave Drogo a bit of a panic attack, but really, when you think about it, Zergs can make, you know, at least 5 Banelings just out of, like, precaution, and a couple more beyond that isn't too bad. Leenock just goes for more drones, 4th base, Hydralisk Den, got the upgrades on the way. Everything's going to a macro game. And Drogo's just gonna try and match him. So, unfortunately, the Adepts kind of feel a little bit useless because, I mean, they were invested into, they were made, like, a lot of them, but you are gonna transfer over into those charge lots, but they're part of the army now, and certainly look at that buffer until those charge lots can grow in number. No second robo rather? I would say it was robo. No second robo, so just going straight into that storm. So there won't be much of any immortal play, as of course he's not even, like, making any from the single robo. It's really just a lot of charge that Archon. Of course, charge was reduced in costs, like, a while ago at this point. That's important to note. Oracle's out of juice, but still doing work. Revelation on the Hydralisk Den is pretty nice. You do want to know if they're going to go to Lurker Den. Most Zergs aren't going to Lurkers anymore. They just kind of, they're not as hot as they once were, right? But it's potential, certainly. Infestation Pit, can you see that? Oh, okay, that was dumb. Excuse me. Yes, you can. I mean, Revelation doesn't have, like, that broad of a vision, but it definitely has enough to see the Infestation Pit. So, Oracle is, no, that's the Warp Prism, that's right. Warp Prism gets in here to a bit of harassment, wants to keep the army in check. Leenock currently bulking up his army after that last round of drones, now up to 75 after a couple went down there. He's got a bit of a Ling attack set up here. Leenock going for maybe a bust with the Hydras and Lurkers, or just whenever those weren't Lurkers. Hydras, Banelings, and Lings, rather. Oracle's gonna see where the army is. That Infestation Pit was not for Hive or Infestors. It was for Swarm Hosts, in fact. So, Certainly setting up different attacks can really start to stress the Protoss player. You know, the Swarmos are over here, the Ling's Hydra's over there, and that can be quite a lot to deal with. Takes a good chunk of Zealots out with those Banelings. Storm is about to be done, and there are Immortals finally on the way. That's barely not going to go down. It is quite weak, though, so this is something where, like, if your attack's not going so hot, but it's okay, you could definitely pile in some Banelings on that, and it might just be worth it. We'll see what happens. It's also protected by a couple of cannons. This will be the main point of contention if there's any direct fights. But as I was talking about the Swarm Host, like, that might not be the issue here. It might be that Drogo tries to respond one place and then is completely out of position over here, right? He's ready for this attack, but the Locusts come into the natural, and this is something that he was not expecting or prepared for. Ling's actually going to the natural as well, and that Nexus is being targeted. Ling's going to the main base and target that Nexus as well. That's a pretty bold move for the Lings, but they do have +2 melee. Locust dies shortly after killing the Nexus. This one's going to be saved, looks like, by maybe that was a recall into Voted Overcharge. But either way, it is going to be saved. Only really lost the shields. Adepts had transferred way forward from this army, but there's still a lot of important units left over. Archons, Sentries, High Templars. Sentries mostly out of juice here. There's one more Guardian Shield available, but there's so many Hydras left over. I mean, it's really going to be Hydras against High Templars here. If Leenock could come from around up here and crash in those High Templars with the Banelings, that would be absolutely perfect. But that would be a tall order. It looks like Drogo's thinking of the same thing, realizing his position might be compromised and just backs off a little bit. So it's gotten to that main base and scouted a Hive and a Spire, which is nice information, but also threatens the drone line. If there was one, there really wasn't. They've mostly been transferred out by now. That was a risky move for both of them, I want to say. Zealots were charging into Banelings. Banelings are charging into an army that could have had Storms all over them, but the Storms are tend to be kept safe. Locusts getting derped out a little bit on these cannons ended up being the best feature of these cannons. In fact, they're derping out long enough that they might not get the Nexus, and they're not focus firing either. I think that's what Leenock would have wanted, but that wasn't too great. High Templars, any of them go down, that's huge. Supposed to segment off the Banelings, segment off the Lings, try and either force Storms on small groups of units or just hit the High Templars themselves. That is ideal. I like the safety Warp Prism as well, just in case those Banelings ever get too close. Swarm Hosts are back to help defend. They do have those Locusts, and they will do a lot of damage. So while the Ling Hydra army has mostly gone away, the Locusts are just barely enough to help out. Also, how about versus these Zealots, whereas there are no Banelings, and the Hydras would have been a little bit vulnerable without those Locusts. But where does this game end up? Drogo lost his entire army. Leenock lost a huge part of his army, but Leenock was on 70 drones for a lot longer, cut down to 50, but still 50 for quite some time, whereas Drogo has only recently bumped up his count from, I think he was like his lowest point was like 37 probes, something like that, and he did lose that natural Nexus, which still had a bit of mining. So look at the income graph. Nope. Why? Okay, well, I'm gonna make sure they put WZ's game hard on next time. I didn't even notice that wasn't the case. But that was a good stasis trap. That is a lot of Hydras. I'd be really careful with the High Templars, though. I mean, they might be able to get the Storm off, but they don't want to die for it. Alright, yeah, that was good enough. Some of those Hydras are weak, and Archon Splash, yeah, combo. Pretty nasty. 5th base now on the way up to the top right. Greater Spire as well. Drogo finishing up finally his +3 upgrades. Oh, just before the Locust came in. That would have been a nice snipe for Leenock. Okay, bye-bye, Nexus. That's what Locusts do. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? Their next target could be the Robos. That'd be pretty nasty. Oracle still looking for Revelation. Did that Warp Prism survive? It did not. It was taken down sometime. But at least he's gonna see where the 5th base is. He could send a couple of Zealots over there, and maybe Leenock can't respond fast enough. But Leenock's got Broodlords on the way, so maybe mobility isn't his strongest suit. His army might just be straight up better. I mean, keep in mind, Drogo never got to blink. Those Stalkers warped in. He'd have to literally get the Archons underneath the Broodlords, which should not happen. Either you have army underneath the Broodlords, or you have a ledge, right? But Locust once again going after the probes, it looks like here. They could also get the Nexus. Either one's a good choice. But a lot of economy going down. Stasis Trap in the middle of the fight is always cool to see. Managed to grab a couple of those Broodlings, but that's not really what you want. Does get a huge chunk of the drones over here, but still holding at 50 is good enough. Storming the Broodlords, if they would die, would be fantastic, but if they live, they turn into full health Broodlords, and they barely live. But I don't think 4 Broodlords was quite the difference that Drogo was hoping for anyways. There's still 6 of them already made. And moving on forward here. Zealots were going to that base. Actually, I already killed it while that was all happening, but I don't think that's enough. The army just is too good for Leenock. I mean, Drogo's desperately trying to get a Void Ray, but he can barely afford anything. It's his gas, really, that's quite, that's hurting a lot here. This still has quite a bit of gas and should have been mining this entire time, and instead it wasn't. Robos are going down, but of course, you're going up against Broodlords. I don't know if Drogo's too upset about that. Some serious Archon micro is going to have to happen to kill all these Broodlords. Like, serious. I think this is game. I think Leenock's got Drogo's number here. That's it. GG. Well played. So Leenock takes game number 1. Pinch Torment with no Safano? Yeah, I know. Looks like Rifkin is ready to go. And we're just accommodating the servers. It doesn't look like I dropped too many more frames after that couple of blips that were happening. Still at 4,000. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I almost joined Fear Dragon's lobby. That would have been wrong. I think it was a veto process, so the next map should be already determined. Oh, that was interesting.
Moshi Mosh.
Hello.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. Just as you called, we had like a double resub, so thank you. Oh, no? Oh, I know what it is. My bad. Thank you to Aqua Nuts for 32-month resub.
Oh, that's the thing that shows like they sub, but then like they announce that they sub, so it looks like a double sub.
No, it was something that I did. I had the actual like Twitch box open because that's usually what I do when I'm not streaming. But if I'm streaming, then it's on OBS, so I don't need it open. I didn't think I did that, but I guess I did it out of habit. I fix.
I fix. Very nice. So I learned something kind of disappointing yesterday about the new vodcast feature.
What's that?
Which I guess a quick note too for those who don't know what I'm going to be referring to here. There's a lot of there's a new feature that came on Twitch 2 days ago, vodcasting. It's basically a fancy rebranding of rebroadcasting. I don't believe it generates ad revenue. I say this because I ran an almost 24-hour stream yesterday worth of oldies, like VODs that I found that we had left over from like 2015 and stuff, just for fun. And even though it didn't get more than like a couple hundred viewers, it didn't generate a single cent. Just the more you know. I also learned that hosting with it gets messed up too, but that's a whatever. That's a whatever.
Oh, I didn't make a game hurt.
So what's the score and why is Destiny playing?
Yeah, right. He didn't make a game hurt. That's what I'm asking. Yeah, Destiny. That name is Drogo. I don't know why that's his alt name, but it is.
Why? Drogo, why? Okay.
Okay, that's central.
Destiny, I could see as being a name you'd want to bring back to get like maybe a couple of fans to get hype, but like I don't know about like an actual tournament competitor, because Destiny's like a fun personality. He's not really a pro StarCraft. I don't even know if he plays StarCraft anymore. So I was like really surprised to see Stephen Bonnell in the fucking chat channel. I was like, what?
I was confused at first. I like looked at the name and I was like, I mean, wasn't that his name? And then I realized what it was.
No, it does not.
No.
So we gotta remake again. This, well, okay. So first off, hi, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all well. I will be honest with you. I don't love knowing that I was told the wrong time to be here, but it's a good thing I said earlier as fuck alarms. I would not have been ready in time for this. But looks like it wouldn't have mattered if I was late at this rate anyway.
Almost. Yeah, they played out game number 1, so it is 1-0 Leenock. But yeah, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Did you know that CET and CEST is a different time?
Yes, it's like PDT and PST. It's an hour difference.
Yes. Yes, it is.
By the way, just side noting here. I'm first off excited that we're going to see Leenock this month. Secondly, though,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I know that sometimes, for those who know, when we stream, Zombie for whatever reason, excuse me,
bless you.
For whatever reason, we'll have trouble hearing me, especially when it comes to like speaking during an engagement type thing. So if that happens, don't just let me be awkward. Just start talking over me, and I'll try and take the hint.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm like really hoping it won't be, but it is what it is. Okay, getting into game number 2. Ascension to Ire. They also were playing. They were playing on US East for the first game, which Drogo was kind enough to point out and requested they play on Central. Good guy, Drogo.
Well, it's especially refreshing considering recent player interaction that was the exact opposite of that.
Good. Well, we're on Ascension to Ire in game number 2 with this best of 3. In the top left, as the blue Protoss, he is Drogo. Shit.
And in the bottom right, he's still on the clan Yoi. Wow, and he's got FXO in his name. It has probably been like 9 million years since he's been on the North American server. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Leenock.
Nailed it.
I just realized, like, as I'm reading this out, right, like, Yoi Flash Wolves, of course, is, like, old school. Take it one step further, FXO. God damn, that's old school.
Yeah, that's what I brought up, too, when I first saw it. I was like, apparently he hasn't bothered changing his name at all. Like, not even, like, a name change in the past 2 years, but also, like, not even leaving a clan. Like, oh, well. Leenock does what he wants. He's Leenock. And I kind of forgot we've been seeing him, in, like, 2 weeks. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not wrong about that, am I? Hello? Oh,
Hey, sorry, I had to
oh.
unplug and replug real quick.
Oh.
I'm good.
It's like, no. No, I'm alone again.
I know. It's a good start, right?
Yeah. No, it's been a great start. It's been great. Yeah, I'm glad that I mean it's 2:30 in the morning right now in Korea, so like chances were I'd be home anyways. But yeah, I was glad I was home.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw you went to ASL or something last night, right?
Yeah, 12 hours. Oh, no, not 12 hours. 6 hours ago. Gotta
Oh.
go by hours now.
Bueno,
know.
bueno. I bring this up because I know we should talk about the game here real quick. There's a picture of you retweeted. I saw it just before I went to sleep. And the thing that's so funny about that picture is if it wasn't in black and white, there wouldn't be this mistake. But I thought you were wearing like a sleeveless punk vest, and I'm like, why the fuck is she looking so grunged up for the fucking Brood War finals? God damn.
I could kind of see it. Yeah, like the way that it's scrunching right around where you.
Yeah,
and yeah.
And the black and white just kind of makes it look like it's your skin tone. And I don't know. I'm just like, wow, Zombiev's gone super punk on us. She's gonna carry for like a day. Like Jesus.
Super punk. Nah, I was surprised. I saw him taking photos of us. And I tried to get like a good position, but I guess he took one from like way before I even noticed because I don't know. I didn't expect my thighs to be like the center of the image.
What?
My thighs? My thigh, I guess, singular.
Oh.
Like everyone's.
It's not really the center.
It's
the
not,
center
but like,
of the image.
but like people have been
The dude's
tweeting at
gut
me.
is the center of the image. What, service and repair manual? What is he wearing?
I'm not sure actually. I didn't ask him. But I meant like like people have been tweeting me about the thigh and like like saying that I'm revealing like thigh, right? Like I'm revealing a foot on Twitch. Scandalous.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah. Oh, look at that girl wearing shorts.
I know.
Fucking ridiculous.
This day and age. Swear. Oh, this is interesting. So yesterday, fuck man. I'm like not that tired, but I think I am. Like I think my brain like isn't like it's not telling my body that I'm tired. Anyways, the last game, he eventually got the charge, as most Protosses do. But this game, going for a charge all in, seems to be kind of the flavor of the month, as charge was changed in its costs. So of course it came out versus Terran with Hero like last week or 2 weeks ago, something like that, and then versus Zerg is not too surprising either. Sometimes there's even all-ins that include like Archons with this, which is pretty cool as well. But this is just gonna be pure charge lot.
I think Charge Lot has started making a really cool, I guess, resurgence. We saw it a lot versus Terran, obviously, the other day, but when it comes to versus Zerg, that 100 cost is pretty cheap. Getting it early is not crazy, and I think, especially with Hydras being a bigger part of the composition, this is worth investing into.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Hydras for sure, but also, like, of course, the beginning steps of Zerg is going to be about those lings, like, with or without +1 melee. In this game, it's actually without, so Leenock's trying to get, like, really fast, so probably Hydras, but, you know, they're not going to have protection, they're not going to have their upgrades, they're going to be trickling out against charge lots. I hesitate to call this a build order win, but this looks quite strong for Drogo.
Yeah, as you say, I really like this, because again, even if it's not against the Hydras, this is the Lings, the Queens, the anything, the Zealots are really strong early game units, and they only cost minerals, no gas, so 8 Warpins at a time, new charge lots unleashed. That mineral line's just gotta fall back.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Of course, Leenock was probably anticipating, he saw the Warp Prism move out from the main, but he was probably thinking, like, Archon drop, which a handful of Lings and Focus Fire with the Queens on the Warp Prism will deal with pretty much no matter what, but a bunch of charge lots, like, that's a big difference. So he's trying to get a Baneley Nest, even though he was planning on getting to a Hydralisk Den. It's going to be so late, though, and by that time, there'll be another warp in of charge lots. I think Drogo just has a good build right now.
Yeah, welcome to the new world, Leenock.
I mean, he's even like, yeah, that's it. GG.
This actually, one thing about that game I would love to ask, if I could have a more casual conversation with Leenock, is simply, are Korean Protoss doing this? Because that, for me, is not something I see a lot of Korean players doing. As few Protosses we see in our events. Like, usually it's hero and they're cheesy, or they're really reliant upon the Archon drops. Like, they're not going for fast charge lots. So that, I'm not saying it's the first time Leenock's ever seen that, but it might just be something he's unprepared for, and that's why that looks so stupid. Because Leenock is a fantastic player, man. Nobody should die like that.
Yeah, that was kind of easy peasy. Like, it was a good choice of builds against most Zergs, but especially considering what Leenock showed last game. Might have been direct response too.
Oh, this is so great. I just saw the picture they used for the promo image of this. It's Leenock doing the Gangnam Style dance.
That's pretty good. That's good. There's a cheerful at ASL today. I don't know if you saw it on like Reddit or on Twitter or something like that, but
No, I went to sleep as it was like getting started or whatever. I just barely saw the picture of you because I was scrolling through my phone.
yeah, there's like a funny like whatchamacallit, cheerful with, because it was Shine versus Flash. So someone was like, they made like a cheerful that was like The Shining, and it was Shine as the guy with the axe like breaking through the hole in the wall, and then like Flash's face is like
Johnny.
It was pretty good. It's very clever.
How was that that K-pop concert you went to? I saw you tweeting pictures of that giant crazy stage, the weird triangle.
With the flipping screen that didn't let you see anything. Like,
What is this, a screen for heads?
it was stupid. They get a Zeros 12 for the 4-month resub. Yeah, it was fun. I think because I went with Sasha and me and her both agreed. I think that like it just, there's so many bands. Like there was like maybe 15. There's like a whole like smorgasbord of K-pop, and I recognize like 75% of the bands, I guess, something like that. But even then, sometimes they wouldn't play songs that I liked or recognized, so that kind of sucked. And they only like each band got like one song, except for the last 4, which got 2 songs. So there's like a high chance I didn't hear the song that I wanted to. So if we knew the song, then we could sing along and, you know, be like cheerful as everyone else. But if we didn't, they were just kind of like left alone. And oh my god, with the fangirls, crazy. I mean, I kind of knew from going to KCON New York, but this was K-pop in Korea, man. And like when some of the guys came on, like holy shit. There's the woman next to me. She was definitely a girl. This girl next to me, anytime like this band called NCT 17.
She's had her period. She's an adult now.
I don't know, man. She's pretty young. Anytime they would come on, they would be like shrieking in my ear. Like I think I'm deaf in my left ear. But anyways, that's the real reason you go to K-pop concerts anyways, the experience of everyone else. They are so into it too. There's like chants and everything, man. Just like Brood War. Oh, but it's the last game in this series. Winner advances to the round of 4. Loser leaves. In the bottom left, as the blue Protoss, he is Drogo.
And his opponent just tied things up. It's none other than the red Zerg Leenock. And so you said, so these are only best of 3s?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna like, you know, double check.
No, I'm well, first of all, I probably should what with the time zone start to this, right? But secondly, I just assumed it was best of 5s. I never really read into it because it is just simply single elimination round of 8.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, with this being best of 3s, it does make things a little bit tighter on the players, and somebody like won't have that extra life to fall back to. This is the match point already being decided this early.
Yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy, I guess. I mean, that's the, you know, the good and the bad of it, I guess, you know. And I was talking to earlier too, like, you know, this is obviously, there's Koreans in every matchup, down to Gumiho versus Lasers the last match. So Gumiho will be playing at like 5 in the morning Korea time. So I think
actually, I think that's really interesting because Gumiho messaged me last night before I went to bed. I want to say about 9:00 p.m. my time, and he's like, "Hey, today is Legends show match or something," and I was like, "I don't know, man. We're just casting. We're not organizing it, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, do you know channel or server?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, dude.
No.
See you in 12 hours. Good luck."
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm not sure he had like. This is not a shot at the organizer. Like, you guys might not be aware, sometimes it is very difficult organizing these events, especially having 8 to 16 to 32 people all on the same page. I hope he's going to show up, because there's a chance he might not if he doesn't realize that, you know, he signed up for this tournament and they put it at an awful time for Korea, because they really did. No disrespect to anybody. It's just objectively 5 a.m. in Korea is not the ideal time for a lot of these folks to wake up and play or stay up late and play.
Yeah, it certainly is the worst time, and they got like some really good names too. So certainly they're, you know, it's no longer the days of like everyone has, you know, their pro league match to get up for. But yeah, I'm hoping that he actually like wakes up and is ready to go. Leenock opened actually, by the way, with a 14 pool, so I actually kind of was like afraid he just was like ready to go to bed again. Like, let's just get this over with. But oddly enough, that went to Broodlords, whereas that last game, he opened up with a macro-oriented build, and he was the one that got all in. Feels bad, man. This is going to be a Stargate opener versus what looks to be just the +1 melee, once again, similar as that first game. And Leenock should be probably a little more on guard about the trickiness. That is, like, maybe a charge all-in or something like that. Hasn't quite scouted yet. And, you know, he'll see the Oracle eventually. But he's finally moving that Overlord in to see if there's anything that's going to be going on. I mean, sometimes the Stargate is put here, but it's all the way in the back.
My timed tweet just went through as well, letting people know we're live. Nailed it. Worked out so good.
It's Gucci. There's the Oracle reveal. So, yeah. That is a drop, actually, not +1 melee. So, I mean, it's a cool trick to see. I mean, eventually Leenock will still get +1 melee. Like, you have the Evolution Chamber, and it's a good opener.
He kind of unloaded this a little bit out there, which I find really weird, but this will guarantee all the lings are actually out and together as they reach the base, and Drogo's probes get pulled right away. There is a pylon here, but no overcharge gets popped off. Nothing's in range of this. In fact, he doesn't have a mothership core because he skipped it for the faster oracles.
Oh, that is a good point. And the Oracle is trying to do something. That's actually a pretty nice stasis trap. Did not expect that, but does that make up for all the lost mining time? 4 probes. It actually might be kind of an evening effect.
I like the choice of this. I don't know if this was like intended from the get-go or if this was a response to the fact that he's going to be distracted by lings at home. He can't afford to actually micro the Oracle elsewhere if he has to spend all of his energy and attention, literally, dealing with these lings.
Yeah. They're still getting some work done. I mean, 4 was not so bad, but doubling that now, almost getting that last 9th probe, I guess that would put Leenock favorable, but that was a good stasis trap. I think, like, if it was 4 probes and the lings died, I think that's actually, like, kind of almost, yeah, like an evening effect, but with more lost mining time and 4 more probes, not so much.
This is really interesting, though, because if you look at the income graph, we don't get to see this often, right? Because that almost never happens. If you look at the income graph, you can see clearly where the stasis trap hit and the hiccup in which it finally hits its effect. But as we can see on the overall like course of the game, this doesn't have much bearing, and Leenock is still rocking it with the income.
Yeah. It's going to be a double Stargate play here, and it wasn't for +1 melee. He did get a lair right, pretty much behind that ling drop and went for instead the +1 missile attack, so actually more similar to what he was going to do last game before things went, you know, haywire. And then he accidentally gets a second Hydralisk Den. I'm pretty positive that's an accident. Leenock actually was, I think, the guy that, like, a year and a half ago, he did go for both to get upgrades and a Lurker Den. But that was still when Lurkers were at least pretty good. So I don't know. I mean, he's... Okay, there we go. Canceled it. Well, the Oracle saw the 4th base and the Hydralisk Den moving and grooving. Leenock has scouted the 3rd base, of course, by now, but not the 2nd Stargate. And, of course, not the Fleet Beacon either. Oh, he actually canceled a Twilight Council to do this. I had noted the Twilight Council when he put it down, and then I just didn't even notice that he canceled it to get the 2nd Stargate, so that's really going to trip Leenock up. But will it matter? If he's still planning on busting with Hydralisk, well, that, you know, that might still work against someone who only has 1 or 2 carriers.
Well, I like the excuse me. I like the idea of carriers in most situations. I think this map is one you can get away with at least the income you need. You know, 3 bases, either way, top or right. But we kind of saw this recently. If you get on top of them early enough with the Hydras, you can actually kill the interceptors so badly that the carriers can't fire and fight. Now, I can't remember who that was playing, but it also got to the point where they didn't kill the carriers enough, so they did eventually lose. But those Hydras made the carriers look really stupid.
Yeah. Well, Leenock's not planning on staying on Hydras forever. Now, he still has not seen the multiple Stargates. I think he's maybe seen like a Phoenix around and about, but other than that, I don't think he has any indication to say that it is actually multiple Stargates and straight into carriers too, but he's got an Aspire on the way. These Oracles, unfortunately, were dilly-dallying around the 4th base, missed the army moving across the middle of the map, which means that as warp-ins happen when the attack's already happening, that the pylons weren't all down, even though we already used all the overcharges, and this is just brutal.
This is Dokes coming in, and it's like, surprise, motherfucker! Like, this is just bad.
Yeah.
Base goes down, and this was such an important base because he is trying to produce a lot of characters. He does decide to take that one to the left side, which is not a bad consolation base to make up for, but that's got small mineral patches, one gas. Like, that's not the same base.
No, it isn't. He really is trying to set it up. Like, he thinks he can hold the natural, but I don't think that's true. There's too many Hydras.
Yeah, I think as long as Leenock keeps the pressure up and doesn't back off, he's got, even with the new carriers, front lines, there's just not enough interceptors. GG.
Alright, so Leenock advances on with a 2-1 over Drogo. That'll send us into the next match, which will be Jakshi versus Zancer TVZ. This ended around the time it was supposed to, so hopefully that won't take too long. And Jakshi is already online, so as soon as that's ready to go, we'll come back. Thanks for watching. See you in like 2 minutes.